Hey guys, so yeah, I was going to do this earlier, but they didn't bring out the recent page until recently. And yeah, we are continuing on with stripes and links. Looking at the Sabrina online story, which is very zigzag focused, centric focused, and everything. And basically, we are still at the dinner table where basically Brandon Zig Zag's brother, basically, it's just letting it be known he's not thrilled that she's here because of the fact that she walked out on them. However, that's where this chapter picks up because Zig Zag basically admits that, look, he's not wrong, but, he's not wrong, but he's not right. And here she basically explains to her brother and sister that she stayed as long as she could and took the abuse that she did from their father so that he wouldn't take it out on them. That's right. She took as much abuse. You can imagine what kind. It starts with an S and stuff. She took as much abuse as she could so the father wouldn't take it out on them. But it just got to a point that it became too much for her to bear, and she upped and left. That's why and that's why basically afterwards, the grandparents came into the picture because she basically did what she could to make sure that the grandparents would get custody of Brandon and Brandy, as well as, be there for them, to take care of them when they needed to be taken care of, looked after, and all that, basically protect them from the father until she could basically come back to visit and everything, come back and check things and, whatnot. So she's very apologetic for what she did, but she's explaining that she tolerated it as much as she could, as long as she could, until basically it just became too much and she just upped and left. And in a way, she's admitting that was wrong for her to do, but basically mentally she just couldn't handle it anymore. But she was mental enough, she was stable enough to say, hey, I'm going to be here for my siblings. Somehow I'm going to make sure they're taken care of. Even if I'm not there physically, I'm going to be there in spirit through my grandparents to make sure they're taken care of and watched out for and everything. And she does admit that I think she does admit that she was planning to come back, but she didn't. And then she does admit fault for not, talking to them, at all when she left, in the past several years, not really communicating with them as much as she should, and she's very sorry for that. But again, it comes down to the fact that the reason she left, and this is what she explains to her siblings, is that she couldn't take it anymore. It's like she took it as long as she could from the father to protect them. But it just became, too much for her. It just became too much. And she decided, she decided she had enough and she upped and left. And she admits here in this chapter that was wrong for her to do. She also admits, like I said, that she should have kept in contact with them better than she has. She should have been more in contact with them, and that's on her. But the one thing she wanted to make sure of when she left, when she gained enough money and all that, and was able to do so, she wanted to make sure that the grandparents got custody, that the kid, her siblings, were in the protection of her grandparents, of the grandparents, I should say. And so, that's basically where we leave. That's basically where this kind of ends and everything. Well, not ends yet, but it's basically the focal point. It's like the meat of this chapter. So, of course, Brandon wants to know, all right, because you can see the look on Brandy and Brandon's faces, which is explaining to them. It's like they understand now. It's like they get the idea. Like, okay, she didn't mean to leave, abruptly when she did, but but basically now they kind of get it. They kind of like know that, all right, she didn't mean to leave the way she did, but she just couldn't take it anymore. So you can see the look on their faces that they have a better understanding. And of course, this leads Brandon to ask, all right, okay, that's good to hear. But, because at least he's getting the truth out of her, right? He's finally getting the truth. And again, they're getting an understanding as to why she left. But of course, this leads to that question that's going to get an awkward answer. Why did she come back? And that's what Brandon asked her. He asked, okay, well, why did you choose now to come back to us? And Zig Zag gets this look on her face, kind of a little of an embarrassing look, like, okay, you want an answer, you want an answer, it's gonna be awkward and embarrassing. And, and she just explains, well, it kind of started when I kissed the mother of one of my closest friends on the lips, and everybody's reaction is justifiable. Her family's reaction is justifiable when she says, well, it all started when I kissed when I kissed my best friend's mother on the lips. And again, all the reaction, the grandparents, the siblings, the reactions, all justifiable. Like, what? Excuse us? What did you just say? What did you just say? But yeah, she basically, most of it, I should say, a majority and most of this chapter, this part of it, this page, is very serious, very PSA, if you will, but it does give more background in case people don't know about it, who haven't followed the Sabrina series for so long. It gives more background, more character, if you will, more, I guess you could say historical notice or info as to why, Zig Zag left, when she did. We now get a better explanation, from her point of view for her siblings to understand, hey, I left because I just couldn't handle it no more. And I do apologize for those vibrations there. I'm recording this on my phone. But anyway, she basically for a majority of this part of the story explains that situation so that they have a better understanding, which again, like I said, you could see in their face that they kind of do understand. They accept it, if you will. They do accept, okay, we get it. But then, of course, Brandon wants to know what made her decide to come back now. And then that's when she gives the awkward, embarrassing answer of, well, it all started when I kissed the mother of my best friend, or one of my best friends and everything, being on the lips. And again, the reaction is justifiable. Because let's be honest, in reality, wouldn't you have that kind of reaction? Where you're wondering, okay, it's nice to see you after so long, but why did you decide to come back now? And all of a sudden the answer you get is, well, it all started when I kissed the mother of my best friend on the lips. And I mean, come on, how would you react? If all of a sudden your family member comes back after so long because, they've had a job and all that and everything, and the first thing they tell you as to the reason they're there is this is why. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the reactions are taken in the next chapter. I'm sure it's going to have to do with her kind of inheriting, a lot of, character traits from her father, as well as being part tiger. It's that predatorial side, that blood, that tiger blood that's in her, being very predatorial. So I think a lot of that's going to get exposed. I think we're going to find out she gets these traits from her father, unfortunately, but she also gets a lot of that predatorial, nature from being half tiger. So combine that together and it becomes a very rickety concoction, if you will, that sometimes should only be taken in very tiny doses, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to find out going forward in the next page or two. And we'll see what happens. Maybe we might get some information as to, the connection between maybe Zig Zag's family and Sabrina's family, because there is some similarities. People have been pointing that out. Will that come into play? We'll find out. When Endora's name is dropped, hold on, guys. Sorry about that, but like I said, maybe we find out when Endora's name gets dropped that maybe there's a connection between the grandmother and Endora. We'll find out. We'll see. Maybe if there is a connection, maybe we'll find out that Endora was kind of like Zig Zag when she was young, and it's now a side she's trying to hide. Or maybe we're going to transition over to Sabrina's side of things to see to see kind of side by side what's going on. And maybe we find out the truth there, that Endora was a party animal when she was young, and that side of her she's trying to hide because Zig Zag reminds her a little bit of her. And then when Zig Zag kissed her, it opened up that memory that she's trying to suppress. We'll see. But I thought this was a nice somber, continuation, very PSA-like, if you will. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notification. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, Audible, Radio Public, you name it, Overcast. If it's got a podcast, I'm probably on there as well. Also find me at rumble.com at BWRoses, odyssey.com at BWRoses.5, VENMO at BWRoses, Patreon at BWRoses, DeviantArt.com at BVW1979, InkBuddy.net at BWRoses. Check out the Teespring store. Follow me on Twitter /X at BWRoses, and follow me at Blue Sky BWRoses. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. And until then, I am out.